The dark sky of the night was slowly descending. Clouds were overcast, and sometimes lightning from afar twinkled as if the whole sky was twinkling. The cool weather had turned the desolate silence into silence. In this silence, a caravan was slowly moving on the sand. In front of the caravan was a decorated camel who was sitting on the camel. Hatim Tai was a living example of generosity and decency. With the caravan, there was luggage on the camels, tents, servants, and guests because Hatim was returning from a big tribe's feast. Suddenly, a faint sound came from Hatim's ears as he was passing through a tree near valley. "Is there anyone? Is there anyone who can hear my plea?" Hatim immediately stopped. The caravan also stopped. They looked around, but could not see anything. The sound came again, this time a little closer. "O stranger, if you are a human, then listen to what a prisoner has to say." Hatim jumped off the horse, and the sound increased rapidly. Behind the trees, in the shadow of a deserted hut, there was a slave caught in chains with a wound on his face and a ray of hope in his eyes. Hatim sat near him and spoke in a soft tone. "Who are you, and why are you lying here in this state?" Tears came into the eyes of the slave. He whispered, "My name is Below, and I was once a free man. But fate brought me to the slavery of a cruel merchant. He put a false accusation on me and imprisoned me here. I have been lying here for years. There is no one to ask, nor is there any hope of release. I just pray that a kind-hearted person will hear my plea." Hatim saw his chains. They were thick iron shackles on which the blood had spilled. It was a moment of silence. All that was heard was the hissing of the air and the breath of the prisoner. Hatim looked up at the sky and said in his heart, "O Lord, if you have given me wealth and honor, then it is my duty to help your people." Hatim called the people of the caravan and ordered, "This slave is now my guest. Release him, and if you want to pay any price, then it will be paid by me." But it was not so easy, because the slave was the head of the merchant tribe, and Hatim was about to face a battle in which the power of principle and faith would be tested. The sun had not yet risen in the morning when Hatim ordered the caravan to be prepared. The slave Yaqub was given a place in the caravan with respect and was placed on his wounds. Hatim had decided that he would free this slave from his real master, even if he had to pay a price for it. A large tribe lived a few miles away. The tribe was called Banu Nosser, and the cruel merchant Hamid lived there. When Hatim entered the tribe, people began to get excited. Hatim himself has come. Has he come to bless anyone? Hatim was taken directly to the merchant's tent. He was sitting on the soft mattress of the camel and was chewing the delicious fruit in the golden bowl in front of him. Arrogance was flowing from his face. Hatim said without any hesitation, "Hamid, I have come to you for the release of a slave named Below. I am ready to pay his price." Hamid laughed, but there was poison in this laughter. "Hatim, I know it is Taub Hatim, but this slave is a criminal. He tried to steal my goods and run away. I can't leave him like this." Hatim said, "If he was a criminal, then why did Allah put him in my way? I have seen innocence in his eyes. Now his eyes are tired. Hatim, this tribe is mine. My decisions are made here. If Taub wants to pay the price, then give him 50 dinars instead of 5 dinars. Then you may think." Hatim thought for a moment. Then he took out his sword, the same sword that the great kings had asked for as a gift, and said, "This sword is a sign of my honor, and now it is yours in return for the freedom of this slave." Hamid laughed and said, but he knew that this was not an ordinary sword. He agreed to this deal. Hatim freed Bilal in front of him and said, "O Bilal, today Taub is not only free from chains, but it is the beginning of a new journey. Now Taub will stay with me like an equal human being." Bilal's eyes were wet. He bowed to the ground and said in tears, "O Hatim, Taub is not only pure, but it is a lamp that illuminates the hearts of slaves." But now there was something else shining in his eyes. This deal was not over. A conspiracy had begun, which would fall like lightning on Hatim the next night. It was night time. At the edge of the Banu Nosser tribe, Hatim's caravan was standing in a valley. The fire was burning, some slaves were singing, and some tired travelers were enjoying tea and dates. Bilal was sitting next to Hatim. There was peace in his eyes, which he had not seen for years. Hatim consoled him. "Bilal, what is done is done. Now Torb is free, and as long as I breathe, no one can make you slave." But at this moment, shadows were moving behind the nearby trees. 3 masked men, with daggers in their hands, were shining. They were quietly moving toward the valley. This was the special man of Hamid. He had conspired to take revenge for his arrogance. He had agreed to take the sword from Hatim, but the release of the slave had ruined his arrogance. When a guard of the caravan saw the shadow of the trees, he became alert, but it was too late. An attack by the masked man attacked Hatim. Hatim immediately picked up a burning stick and stopped the attack. Bilal grabbed the second attack, but the third attack had already come from behind the caravan. There was a noise in the darkness. Qasim, the guard, ran. After a fierce fight, all 3 attackers were caught. Hatim Tai asked him to open his face. When the mask came, the same faces were in front of him, and they were among the special guards of Hamid. Hatim stood silently and said slowly, "Hamid, your arrogance has blinded you now. Even after selling the slave, you were not at peace." Hatim ordered the leader of the caravan not to harm these 3. Send them back to their master in the morning, but a message should also go with them. Hatim said in a loud voice, "Now tell them, if the intoxication of power is in you, then Hatim's armor and helmet are not ordinary things. If you look at my caravan again, then this sword will not be just a gift. The decision will be made." This night, Hatim himself guarded him for the first time in Bilal's tent. He went to sleep without chains, not a slave, but a free man's sleep. But Hatim had an idea. This war is not over. Now people like Hamid never accept the word freedom. Maybe next time it will be bigger. When the sun rose in the morning, there was peace in the caravan, but Hatim knew that the storm was still left. He ordered the caravan to leave, but sent back these 3 masked men with ropes, sending them back to Banu Nosser with a letter. "This is the first and last chance. If the limits of humanity are crossed, then I am Hatim Tai. I am enough to fight the oppression." Hatim's caravan was still on the road. When another news was received, the king of Syria immediately summoned them to the court. According to Cassid, Hatim is accused of stealing precious pearls from the king's treasury. This accusation was shocking for Hatim, but he had already realized that this accusation is now part of the conspiracy of Hamid. This time he wanted to stain Hatim's reputation. Hatim Tai, without hesitation, reached the king's court. The court was decorated with glory, ministers, soldiers, and the king himself. The king looked at Hatim and said, "O Hatim, we have heard many stories of your generosity, but it is true that you have brought from my treasury that precious pearl, which only blooms with a royal palace." Hatim bowed his head and gently said, "Your Majesty, Your Majesty." If Hatim is hungry, he should not even taste anyone's food until permission is given. It is against my nature to steal the treasury's pearl. There was silence in the court. The king pointed to the treasury minister. He stepped forward and said, "We have received secret information that the same pearl has been retrieved from Hatim Tai's caravan." Hatim was shocked. This accusation was false, but the plan was made very cleverly. The king saw the matter as serious. He announced, "Hatim, you are given 3 days. Either prove your innocence or be prepared for the punishment." Hatim bowed his head on the throne and said only this, 3 days are enough. The truth will speak for itself. But remember, if I am innocent, then the lie will also be unmasked." And so, Hatim Tai left the court, but he had a resolve in his heart. This time, he did not only cry for slavery, but also to save the honor of his character. When Hatim Tai left the court, he not only had Yaqub with him, but also had a responsibility to prove his innocence and to unmask the face behind the false accusation. Hatim immediately stopped the caravan in an old nearby fort. This was his secret base, where he often stayed in difficult times. In the darkness of the night, he called Bilal and his special slave Izob, who was famous for his loyalty and sharp mind. Hatim said, "This accusation is on me by the person who has been injured, and there can be no one other than Hamid. But the evidence is necessary and the time is short." Bilal immediately said, "Master, when I found that blue from your tent, that day I saw a new slave of the caravan entering your tent secretly. He came in the evening and then disappeared somewhere. I had a doubt at that time, but I thought maybe the message was true." Hatim immediately said to Izob, "Take out the list of every person and keep a close eye on the new faces." The search of the whole night, the secret inquiries, and the testimony of the old guards finally caught the young man whose real name was Rufi, and on the investigation he revealed everything to me. I was now sent by Hamid. He said, if I put the royal seal in Hatim's tent, he will set me free. I did this out of greed, but I did not know that it was not possible to tie the truth of a person like Hatim in chains. Hatim had tears of regret in his eyes, not anger. He said, "You fought for injustice, but the truth is still in your heart. Go, you are free, but do not become a weapon of a tyrant in the future." Hatim kept this seal safe and also wrote the final crime of Rufi with it. Now he had the evidence that could bring the truth to life the next morning. Hatim Tai went back to court, but this time he was not going just to answer questions. Rather, it was time to expose the lies and arrogance. The next morning, Hatim Tai reached court. The streets of the city were buzzing with rumors. Did Hatim Tai really turn out was his face of generosity a deception? But when Hatim entered the court, there was light on his face and peace on his face. The king passed by and all the courtiers were present. There was a silence. The king said in a harsh tone, "Hatim, 3 days have passed. Have you brought any proof of your innocence?" Hatim Tai pointed at the servant who had brought a chest in the court. Hatim opened it and the same chest was shining inside. Then he presented a piece of paper with a written confession. Hatim said, "Your Majesty, the accusation of the theft of the chest was actually placed under conspiracy in my tent. This confession is of the person who himself brought this chest, and behind it is the same person who attacked me earlier, Hamid." The king ordered the courtiers in anger, "Now bring them immediately." In a few moments, Hamid, who was standing quietly in the corner of the court, was brought to the middle of the court. When Rufi's statement was read against him, the color of Hamid's face changed. The king said angrily, "So you did not just insult the king, but also the royal court. You are immediately removed from all positions and exiled." Applause began to be heard in the court. The truth of Hatim Tai had made everyone bow. The king turned from the throne and himself bowed at Hatim's feet and said, "Hatim, we are ashamed. We doubted you who always supported the oppressed. This throne is no longer just a part of the royal treasury. It is your property." Hatim returned the throne and said only one sentence: "Generosity is not with wealth, it is with intention." And Hatim's wealth is now worthy of pride when it comes to the work of the oppressed. Bilal, who was once a slave, was now standing at an equal position with the king. Hatim gave him a new responsibility in the court to take care of the needs of the court.